How he is. As you know, I'm very interested in mind control, and I'm very interested in how people are brainwashed and things like that. Very good book here called Brainwashed: The Secret History of Mind Control by a guy called Dominic Stretterfield. And one of the cases it gives in the book is the Soviet show trials of the 1930s, the Stalinist show trials, where the defendants, who not one of them were guilty, not one of them did anything counter-revolutionary, all of them stood in the dock in the courthouse while the prosecutor called them filthy, screaming dogs, acting hysterically and screaming like a madman, like a crazed cult member, which is what the Bolsheviks were, demanding that they should be taken out and shot like dogs, and this kind of thing. Every single one of the people prosecuted, who were being prosecuted on trial, although every one of them were guilty to the man, they demanded that they were so guilty they didn't deserve a trial, and if they give them a gun, they'll shoot themselves. This is how dark it got. Now, this is what political correctness is and where it leads you. Political correctness it's not human decency, and people have to remember that. And that's why psychopaths, they don't have human decency, but they love political correctness, because it allows them to impose moral parameters on people in order to control them. You have groups like the Socialist Workers' Party, who are both the inheritors of both the National Socialists and the Bolsheviks, the spiritual bastard offspring of both. And they very much are obsessed with political correctness, mainly because the people who join those groups don't have any, or the ones who stay in them, don't have any human decency, and so they seek to attack others through these arbitrary moral parameters created through their political correctness. So dehumanizing a person by calling them a racist, a misogynist, anything they want, looking at that person, taking one instant in that person's life and completely annihilating all the good works they've ever done. Even if they spent their whole lives being a good person, all it takes is one thing, and these politically correct types will destroy that person's life and dehumanize them to make it seem like their entire life was based upon that one specific instant. That's as psychopathic as it gets. Now, the political correctness is not for the elites, it's for us. This is why Prince Harry is protected by the likes of the Socialist Workers' Party when he goes around with his Nazi insignia at a party or tells a racist joke. If that was anyone else who did that at a Christmas party or an office party, they'd lose their job right away. So political correctness it's not for them, it's for us. It's to keep us controlled like animals. It's like a cattle prod, and it's our cattle prod. And that's what it all is. Now, to bring political correctness into a sort of into a kind of an understanding of its absurdity, it has a fluctuation in that the fake moral parameters. There's nothing moral about political correctness. It's purely about human control and social engineering. The so-called fake moral parameters of political correctness they fluctuate according to the demands or the necessities of the political system at the time. So, for instance, you have back in the 1950s, I think, 50s or early 60s, I have it down below here, not on this page, but on the new symbols link from this page, from this video. A joke that was told by the American TV presenter Jack Parr, who I believe was the host of the Today Show, or the Tonight Show, sorry, in the USA, and it was the biggest show of its time. And he told a perfectly innocent joke regarding a water closet, a WC. The management were so terrified of this offending millions and millions of Americans that he mentioned the term water closet. That's all. He didn't say shitter or anything like that. He said water closet. He didn't even say toilet. That they pulled the joke. It cost him his job. It cost him his job in TV because he wouldn't backtrack on it. And this is what we're dealing with. This is the kind of this is the madness that political correctness is about. But because it's psychopathic, it's madness with a purpose. It's gaslighting. It's to control you. So what they do is to create a superficial sense of offence and then a superficial sense of control. And that's the mind control part of it, the brainwashing part of it. And that's what's being done to people today. Now, 99.9999% of people would never walk up to a person of another race and call them a bad name, a racist name, or would never abuse another person for their gender or anything like that directly in a vicious way. They wouldn't. That's called human decency. The remainder who would do that, interestingly enough, are the ones who become the most politically correct. Remember that. They're the ones, they're projecting their own hatred of the world, their own dysfunctionality in themselves, and their need to control others through the politically correctness, where no one else has to police themselves, but they create a situation where the rest of us have to police ourselves. So from now on, do not abide by political correctness. Abide by human decency, because human decency and political correctness are two different things. Political correctness are for scumbag lefties, SWP, fascists, those kinds of people. Human decency is for the rest of us. And people who are bigots and racists and Nazis, well, fuck them. They don't. You know, we don't have to be policed because of their behaviour, because of the behaviour of racists, who are small, vicious racists, real ones, who are a small number of members of society, does not mean that the vast majority of decent people in this society need to be policed by these cunts in groups like the Socialist Workers' Party, these ultra-liberals and ultra-lefties and all these other bastards who belong back in the Soviet Union because that's where they came from. Do not abide by these people and ignore them. And just don't listen to them. You and your heart are not what they say you are. You do not need to police yourself any more than these Bolsheviks and these other fucking idiots back in the Stalin's days ended up policing themselves to the point where they wanted themselves shot even though they were innocent. Now, my new radio show, The Velocity of Now, the returned version of it, backed by popular demand, returns on the 10th of December on a whole slew of networks. People are lining up to broadcast it. I will have the details on my webpage, thomassheridanarts.com, and look out for that, because it's going to be a toned down, well, I say toned down because it's going out on AM and FM radio in the United States. I can't say fuck, shit, non, motherfucker like I usually do on the radio, and that's okay. I can still do it here, but that's just the FCC rules. So in a way, I'm getting jack-parred myself. But so what? It's a late night show, and it's going out at 12 midnight GMT Irish time to 2 AM on a Wednesday night. It starts next Wednesday the 10th. That's 7 to 9 Eastern Standard, and work out the rest of your time from that all over. It's going to be my way of recapturing the amazing energy of 80s and 90s alternative talk radio, when you used to find those stations when you were going across the dial, and you might stumble on someone talking about 40 and mysterious stuff, serial killers or interesting things like that. And that's what the show will be like, very much one for the lights are down, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or a cup of hot chocolate, and I will talk through, and I'll still have the jokes, don't worry, I won't change, and that kind of thing. It's amazing the hype already building up about it, and I never realised. I mean, I knew the Velocity of Now was doing well on Blog Talk. I mean, it was beating the New York Times on a regular basis on the arts category, but yeah, it's coming, and it's going to be a great. I hope it'll be a great show, and I hope you'll tune in. The Velocity of Now, December 10th, midnight Irish GMT, 7 PM Eastern Standard Time, and it's just going to be a nice show of interesting things where I'll bring a lot of stuff that's never talked about in the alternative media. I've gathered up a whole load of stories. You know me, I like the unusual, I like the little talked about, I like the allegories and the mythologies and the synchronicities, and we're going to go there with the lights down, late at night, very soft delivery, and we'll have a good time while we're doing it. So take care of yourself, and you know, fuck them if they can't take a joke.